His heels. Oh, lovely from White. Odegaard. Nkettia! Oh, magnificent!
One Arsene Wenger. I was about to sing that, and then I realized my voice kind of sucked. But
when has that ever stopped us?
So, anyways, for the intro, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Gooners podcast. This is a very special one for a lot of us because football is back, truly back. Not just like when we were talking about preview. Football is truly back. EPL is truly back, and we are truly back. And Arsene Wenger was back at the stadium. So with all that, we've got Arun with us. Hi, Arun.
Hello.
And we have got Ellen with us. Hi, Ellen.
Hi, Picasso. Hi, Arun.
Hello.
As usual, please do like, share, subscribe, and comment in. I mean, I keep saying comment in, but there has been no comments of late. But do comment in. It'll be fun for us to interact. Reach out to us on Twitter. It'll be fun for us to know what people are thinking and what other things that you want us to talk and discuss about. With the intro out of the way, I know I have to talk about the game, but before the game, it all like overshadowed for me because I love Arsene. That's a given because I started following and I started I started growing as an Arsenal fan when Arsene was with us, right? So obviously love him. Every one of us love him. And to see him come back to the stadium, to watch him come back on a day like this, on a time like this, that's great, right? Let's start with Arun. Arun, thoughts on Arsene being back on the stadium?
I wish I was actually surprised. I was talking to my wife about like Ferguson's influence at United right now, and when we were actually saying the same things, it's great that Arsene hasn't come in or he's not meddling with whatever is happening at the club, and you see Ferguson coming in game after game, and then whether you like or hate Ferguson, to see an 80-year-old man go through all that he had to, seeing all that was a bit a little painful. And then you see Arsene coming in, kudos to Mikel and Edu for bringing him back, and he comes there and he sees, it was like him seeing the vision of whatever he wanted at the club. A fantastic atmosphere, probably yesterday's atmosphere, where it was the best that we've seen so far this season, right from the time when the Ashburton army started using the flares and going into the tunnel and going inside, till when we scored the first goal, the second goal, the third goal. This is what he dreamt of when he started the project for the Emirates. 60K, terrific football atmosphere, champagne football on pitch, and that was all there for him to see, and that was fantastic to see, the smile on his face, and the cherry on top was, it was one of his former players who was actually coaching the team to do what he wanted to do. So it was oh, I started something, it's slowly coming to closure. We win the league, and that would be probably the best tribute that the players and Mikel can give.
Too soon, Arun, too soon.
If that's what I'm saying, if we do win the league, I never say when we do win the league. It's always an if.
I mean, I would go for when rather than if, because we will at some point. Maybe not this season. Maybe
I'm talking about this season. I'm talking more about this season.
but let me hold you down for a minute on that. How much of it, because you touched upon Arteta and Edu on this, right? How much of this is, Arteta and Edu, bringing him at this point in time? Because, I mean, there has been questions bandied about, him coming back to both Arteta, to both Arsene. There has been always questions of him coming back. And Arteta mentioned, I think, once that he would love for Arsene to come back and be involved a lot more. How much of this to bring him back was on Edu and Arteta, do you think?
I, like you said, there has been a lot of talk about him coming back. But the thing is, I don't think either him or the club would like for him to come and medal in the affairs, but it would be more about the culture and what we as Arsenal represent. So that's what like Arteta and Edu have been trying to change at the club right from the time they got in, the connect with the fans and everything. So this is something that they've been trying to do for a long time. Just for him, like when you have someone of Arsene's stature come in and be there, like the connect that he had with the fans, even though like towards the end it soured, but like the 10-year period that we had when the relationship was fantastic, that led to a lot of things. So it's more about like him being a sort of a talisman in there for the club as a whole, not like on the pitch, but like he was a talismanic figure for the club, transforming us from boring to like a club that is being watched all around the world. You want that kind of a presence in there, and you don't have to, Arsenal doesn't have to do anything. Just being there is more than enough. That changes the whole picture. I think that's what Arteta and Arteta and Edu were trying to do. So all about like 2 or 3 years of continuously persevering to come. I don't know what made the man change his mind all of a sudden on Boxing Day, right after Christmas. But it was a great Christmas gift for all of us, I would say. So
Arun, I
kudos
think
to
I have a guess.
Mikel and Edu.
I have a guess that Arsene Wenger was in charge of FIFA, right? Like he was doing a lot of things. The World Cup just got over. Until that, he was busy with the World Cup.
Yeah.
Like and that does now got over, right? So it's vacation time for him. So maybe like these guys would have Wenger was ready to come long before itself, but like because of the World Cup, like he was not able to come. Now with the World Cup out of the way, like he has come is what I think.
But Ellen, so in that point, right? Like
before we go into that, I want to add one thing there. Like see, what Wenger wanted to do, right? Like two things happened that day. One was like we won it in this style, like conceding a goal early, then like coming back and winning like in the second half, but all beautiful goals, like or proper football goals. The second thing, right? West Ham's goalkeeper was an ex-Arsenal person.
Arsenal player,
played in Emirates. No. Who played in Emirates? But like at the end of the match, right? He said one statement: "I have never seen Emirates like this before." See, this season or the like last couple of seasons, Arteta has made sure the fans are supporting the club. But like with Wenger coming, right, like it has gone to a next level on that day. So it was like a very like what to say,
it's an
atmosphere which is very rare to.
It was like a booster.
Again.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Ellen, so before that, right? Like you were talking about Arsene and his role with FIFA and stuff. I think before, when people asked Arsene about like coming back to Emirates, he was mentioning about how every time he thinks of Arsenal or every time he sees them play, he wants to be the coach. He wants to be the person who's in charge of what is happening in the club. And that is fair, because the man has done that for a very long time. Obviously, he feels connected to the club in a way that no one else is. I mean, I am writing a petition, to rename Emirates Stadium as Arsene Wenger Stadium. That's how crazy I am. And in case people didn't know, that was my painting that I showed earlier. Shameless
and that's why we call him Picasso. So yeah, that's another one.
Shameless self-advertisement right there. But on that point, right, like so he mentioned that every time he sees Arsenal, even he has not put that distance between himself and Arsenal in that way, that he wants to be the coach. He still wants to be that person. Now that he has come this way, and now that he has done this executive role on FIFA side, do you think he's ready to do that executive side of role for Arsenal?
One thing here is I don't think he will do that. As Arun was saying at the beginning, right? Like say Ferguson, right? Like even though he has retired, he still has that presence for United. Like so, they will not go against him, even if he is like having a different vision or like the world has changed and he is like thinking the old ways, right? People will not go against him.
Just one moment, sorry to cut you off, Ellen. And I think that whatever he's being made to do or whatever he's doing, meddling in this is not right in this atmosphere. He shouldn't be doing it, and the club shouldn't be asking him to do it either.
Yeah, that is true. No, that is what my thought process also. Like Wenger should not be like, see, Wenger has its own legacy. Let it go that way. Like let us not like collapse that also. Like, let it be like as it is. See, now you are saying, right, because of that, like Wenger was thinking still like he's coaching. See, under Arteta, right, we are playing like as we used to play under Wenger. So Wenger doesn't have to think
But
like
with
it's a different.
defensive security.
Yeah,
But
that's
with
a different
defensive
thing.
security.
No, that's a different thing. Like, see, or like you can say Wenger didn't have the correct players. Like he wanted a total football. Like take for example Ben White's passes in last match. Like a defender, like playing like a proper midfielder, like with his pass and everything. He plays from the back. All these are things like he wanted to do. He didn't have players or like he didn't get the correct players because we were not spending money initially, at least. So there were like a lot of reasons, but like that was his vision. Like, and that is why whenever he's in an Arsenal team, right, he always thinks I have to go and coach. Now, even without his coaching, right, the Arsenal are playing like with the vision he had before.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to go and like modify anything. So that is why he's now able to come as a spectator and enjoy it without worrying
There's
about
no
all
pressure
the
on him to do anything.
That's actually a great point. That's actually a great point. Like it is why he cared. He could come in. Like, I mean, great point, Ellen. But okay, let's go back to the game because obviously we are here to discuss about the game rather than just our scene. I mean, I would prefer that to happen, but we have to talk about the game. And fair warning here to everyone who is listening. This is going to be a longer podcast. Of course, we are getting the league back. We are getting back to the grind of the Premier League and stuff. So we are going to discuss a lot. And it was a great game. So there's a lot to discuss. So going back to the game, I'll start with you, Ellen, about the starting lineup. I was surprised to see Saliba back right away because I thought like he might not start. Like he came back and he was put into the starting lineup straight away. We even in the preview we were discussing about Holding starting and being worried a little bit about it. But Saliba starting was a not a shocker, but like surprise in this game. Any other surprises you felt in the starting lineup?
No, like Saliba starting was a surprise, but then like say if Tomiyasu was fit, right, Saliba wouldn't have started. Ben White would have played a CB and like at right back like Tomiyasu would have played. But like see, even though like you move White to right back and like Holding, right, like see, he recently conceded some own goals and like see his confidence level, right, like during the World Cup time was not that great. That is what I felt. And this being like a match, we are coming back after a long time, right? And like we are playing that too in Emirates. So like I want to like so there will be rustiness within the team always because many people are coming back from World Cup with break and like some are like not played during the World Cup. So I think like Arteta wanted a strong lineup. And in that strong lineup, Holding will definitely not fit it. If Tomiyasu was fit, Saliba wouldn't have started. And Saliba, it was like more of rustiness only because he didn't play much in the World Cup. So it is not like fatigue or anything. It is more of rustiness only. So he might have taken a decision that like I can take a risk on that because like within 15, 20 minutes he
obviously
can start
we could
playing
see the
dynamic.
whole team having that rustiness, right? Like we could see that the
Yes,
passes were not like connecting. People were like not making those like
first 15, 20
Partey,
minutes
yeah,
definitely.
Partey was doing that. Like he was passing
All
a
of
little
first
bit
half,
off.
in fact.
Yeah.
All of first half is off.
Yeah, and I think that I mean we are here anyways. Like penalty decision that was given against us. I mean we have to talk other things first, but penalty is the one that we conceded. So let's talk about it. We are here. He was a little bit late.
Yes.
Normally, Saliba would have made that.
Or you could say he was half an inch taller.
He cannot reduce the height of him right now, Arun.
So it was more
after
like
talk-
the rustiness only. And like, see, again, that penalty, right? I felt it was very soft. And like, say, if it was not having VAR, right? The olden days referees wouldn't have given that.
I think
No,
he
Alan,
gave
come
it
on.
right away, right?
It's a clear
No,
pen.
no,
It's
no.
a clear pen.
No, I'm not saying it's not this thing. Like I'm saying, like, say, it is, if you want to take a cricket example, right? After DRS came in, many umpires started giving more LBW decisions, which they didn't give it before. See, this was like a very this thing. It was a clear penalty. I'm not denying that, and I said it's a very soft one. It's a very what to say. There was a clear touch, and because of that, it was a clear penalty. But like, if the VAR and other things were not there, right? In the olden days, like many referees have seen, like not giving penalty for such kind of minor touches.
Yeah, but there is no
But
point in.
it's a clear, but no, but it's a clear penalty. We cannot like say it was like biased or anything. It was a clear penalty, and we deserve to concede that.
In that sense, like Arun, right? Like that 1 second or 2 seconds of delay is is that like just a rustiness, or are we, because even before that, Bowen did Bowen did have a great game against the left side of our defense. Like he was able to make those runs time and again. Because I mean, I'm not blaming Tierney. Everyone knows that I love Tierney, but still that left side is our weakness. Like that's where Manchester United exploited our defense. So do you see that being a sore point for us?
No, again, I would just attribute that to sluggishness in coming back from the break. Like at least we are talking about all these other guys. Katie did not like even go to the World Cup. Like they probably had just a few games to play. I really don't see like anything that we should be worried about a particular aspect of the game. Like Saliba going in for the tackle was because he had to do something at that point. And he did that. He went in for this tackle because, like, imagine if he hadn't done anything, then there would have been a lot more talk about it. Bowen would have had a clear run at goal. So he had to do something. Unfortunately, like you said, he couldn't pull out of the tackle at the last moment. Like he was like sliding and he was fast. Same thing with Bowen too. KT was definitely beating him KT was being beaten right at the beginning, definitely. But he did improve in the second half when our entire team started playing well. He was playing well too. Like he got into some great positions up in the final third. He was like interchanging really well with Martinelli and xhaka. So that's when we're talking about KD being beaten in the first half, the entire team was playing badly. Like starting from Partey, because we keep saying this time and again, he's the not the orchestrator, but he's the one who makes us stick. So he has to start playing well for us to like have a foothold in the game. And he was spraying passes like it seemed like he didn't want to have the ball at his feet at all. So I find that there is no point in like trying to point one region or one person as the cause for like us not being able to do well. I wouldn't like be worried about it. That's what I'm saying. Like it's because like
I was definitely not worried during the game. Like even when we went 1 goal down, I was never thinking like, oh shit. No, I was just going like,
no, I mean like not just in this game's perspective, but like in the overall bigger perspective. If we were talking about a position or a region being weak, or like a place where we could get exploited, I don't think like this game really showed me that we should be thinking that way. That like if the left side, of course, KT and Zinchenko, they bring in different dimensions to the team. They're not the same kind of players. And the fact that KT has been able to adapt to what the manager wants, even if it was a Europa League game or whatever it might be, the adaptability of KT is a big factor that's very underrated, in my opinion. Like we just like think that he's someone
he is, if he is the second choice, that is the best second choice
exactly
in the league, or in
No,
in a top 5 leagues for me. Like KD walks into a lot of teams. KD walks
exactly.
into like, he is not a second choice. He is not
Yeah.
at all a second choice. He's the first choice actually for a lot of people. So yeah.
So I would just say like it's the same sluggishness that we talk about for the entire team for the reason for that, like us looking vulnerable a bit in the first half, because Bowen beating us was not the only time that they were able to get behind our defense. There was also another chance with Antonio who was like getting behind. So it was not just that one instance. And so I would just think that it's like the overall sluggishness. I wouldn't like want to think, or I don't think there's any need for us to like think more than that in that aspect. That's what I would say.
Because so I will add one point here. Like say if you see the back triangle, right? On the right side you have like White, Saliba, and Partey. On the left side it is Gabriel, Tierney, or Zinchenko, and Partey. If you see that, right? Like so a team which wants to attack, right? If you compare like both these things, the easiest is like on the left side. It is not they are bad. It's like this side, right? Like they are all like the bigger, like our best players. Like if you take the difference, we'll say Saliba and White. So they are playing on the right side. So the team they tend to attack more on the left. When you attack, like say 10 times, right, even if they attack on the right side, there will be 1 or 2 which will be coming on that side. Since they are attacking completely on the left side mostly, like you are seeing like it is like looking like weak because all the attacks are happening that side. But the reality is like teams are focusing there because they know this is much more difficult here.
I mean, yeah, there are a lot of reasons that we could talk about that penalty and that thing, but it was an anomaly. It was literally like going against the game. We were a little sluggish and stuff, but we were still dominating like crazy, right? Like especially that.
Yeah, we had like 73-27 possession, I think, at the point that like when we
but even without the possession, we were like attacking like crazy. There was this the offside goal that was given, that was very unfortunate. Like it barely nicked what, like, Saka's back heel. I was so pissed off. I still am looking at it, going with my, like, I literally took my ruler to my screen and going like, is it offside? Is it not? Like, but it is offside at the end of the day. But it was a great move, and one player who stood out during this whole first half was Odegaard for me. He was doing a lot of stuff. He was, I think, we are not yet seen the last form of Odegaard, but still this season he has been one of our very, very, very special players. He feels like one of those seasons of Fabregas, where he takes the game by the scruff of the neck. Do you feel that way, Ellen? Do you feel Odegaard is
Definitely. See, one thing which we don't give credit to Odegaard is he is the captain of this team.
Yeah.
Like at that young age, right? He's captain of both his national team as well as like Arsenal. And see, whenever we are down, right? Like we have two leaders generally. One is like Xhaka, who pulls the team if they are like having concentration issues or other things. But like Odegaard, right? Whenever we are down, he tries to perform really more than what he normally does. With his performance, right, he tries to push the team. Exactly like what you said about Fabregas. When he used to be our captain, right? Like with his performance, he tries to push the team. Same thing like Odegaard is also doing. And just like for this, like even though like I had to take one midfielder in my FPL, right? I didn't take Martinelli or Saka. I took Odegaard because that much trust I have on him. Like with Jesus not being available, right? I expect Odegaard like to like be more attacking. See, one thing which we used to always say as an issue with Odegaard is like the lack of power in his shots. And if you see the first goals passed to Saka, you should see the speed at which the ball came. Like he has actually improved.
Is it a pass or is it a shot?
It was a pass.
Shot.
No, it was a pass.
Shot. He was going for goal. As
See,
much as I want to
it's
say it was a pass, and I want to
I
appreciate
know.
his vision and
It was
everything.
a shot. No, it was a shot. I know that.
When I first saw that, my first instinct was, yeah, great pass. I saw the replay, like, no, he went for the shot. No.
See,
it was going
he will
off.
not give that pass. He will not hit that fast like when he's passing. It was definitely a shot. I was just like pulling. But like, see, that is what I was trying to say. He has improved his like power in his shooting. Like there are like a lot of areas where he was weak, like that he has improved a lot. Even his passes, right? I've seen like say after the game, like when I was seeing some analysis, he used to pass like where like in the screen when you see, right, there won't be right back at all. But the way he passes, right, like it will get past all the opponent players and it will come at a time like where the right back can come and it will come at a correct pace to him. Such kinds of things, right? Like it's very difficult to do, and like he's doing that with much ease.
Yeah.
But definitely, like
I mean,
he is,
you don't get picked up by Real Madrid at 16 if you're not that good, right?
Yes.
That's so. But Arun, like getting back to the first goal, because obviously we are here. Even before that, I mean, I really wanted Deepak to be in this podcast today because there was one ball with where Ramsdale takes the ball, he passes it straight up to Xhaka, and then Xhaka does this amazing through ball to Nketiah, which obviously gets flagged. Like there was moments in this game where every player stood up. Every player had their moment in this game to shine, and they did shine. Like that ball also, like Ramsdale doing the save at the end or something. Those are Ramsdale's moment. Like Xhaka had that pass, then Saka does this goal. I mean, this kid is amazing. Like he is having the composure at this age. He's stepping up. Like when we are talking about like, oh, our biggest goal scorer, the man who has put us into the map right now, Gabriel Jesus, is not available. And this kid is like, yeah, fuck this. I'm taking this game by the scruff of neck. And he slots home that goal. Even for that Martinelli goal, I guess, it was him.
He won the ball.
He won the ball. He was pushing aside Rice, who's much older, much bigger than him. This is
the best defensive midfielder in the league.
I mean, it's an audition. It's an audition, and he did do really well for us. But but yeah. So this kid stepping up was for that goal especially was great. It was a very cool
It's
finish. Yeah, go
for
ahead.
me, everything that Saka did in that game is not more than being a representation of his talent or skills. It was more representative of his mental strength and the mentality that he possesses. That's very underrated. We keep bringing this back, but it deserves to be brought back for someone who was like the villain of the entire nation after like the last kick at the Euros to come back. I was actually worried that it's gonna I was worried that it's gonna demoralize him and that's gonna affect his performances and he's not gonna be the same. But if anything, since that kick in the Euros, his performance has only been going up, and that's like a great it shows how much of mental strength that this kid possesses at that young age. This game too, like he scored the first goal. The first thing that he did was take the ball back from the net and like bring it back to the how I, this is what you need. He knows that we are chasing the game, we need to win. It was not like a celebration 1-1, yeah, we're drawing this. No, he wants to win, and he took the ball out and he starts running back. It's not there was no celebration from his side. And was the second goal, like you said, going against White. Yeah, you need to be physical, but actually
Rice.
to have, yeah, you need to be physical. Rice, exactly. I said White. Going against Rice, you need to be physical, right? But then, like to actually back yourself, to have the conviction that if you go for like Saka is much shorter than White. There was a high ball too. It was not like any long ball or like ball on the ground that they were going for. It was a high ball that he was going for. To have the conviction and the belief in your own ability to like know that I can beat the best defensive midfielder in the league, I can get the ball out and I can like do something, that speaks volumes of his like the mental strength and the character that he has. He sees himself as being the person, not just him. I think the entire team has that mentality. Like he was telling after in the post match, like when they were interviewing him for Amazon Video Sport with Tim Howard, he was saying like we take losses more seriously. We are more hurt when we lose.
Yeah.
That was not like, if you rewind back to 4 years ago, people would laugh and have fun like when you lose.
Yeah.
Lose the game.
Fabregas left the club because of that.
No, he left because he wanted to go. No, don't bring in all this. No. Don't make me go to that, I guess.
That's what he says, right? Like he says that there was a moment when he was in the bus and people were laughing and smiling when after the game, which we lost. That's when he decided he wanted to go. And
that's the difference with Saka. He wants to stay and make the change. He wants to be the change that he wants to see in this world. He wants to see in this team rather. So that's where I find like this, it's like sort of, it comes from the top. It comes from the manager that's rubbing on to everybody, and everybody sees that there is some sort of a chance for us to do something big, whether it being like, finishing a top 4, winning something, but you need to have that mentality. And it's very important in this league with the standards that have been set by teams like City and Liverpool. Like Liverpool won 15 games in a row. They thought they were going to win the league. City won the 16th game.
Yep.
That's the mentality that you need if you want to compete at this level. And he symbolizes the mentality that we want to see from a player wearing an Arsenal shirt.
There were two things that I wanted to touch on that, right? Like first thing is like, mentality of City when you're talking. Saka in that post-match said that Jesus was there and he was the one who was giving them the, belief and stuff.
Belief, yeah.
And he was being the leader. I was going like, fuck, that's some serious leadership. Right? Yeah. That's like you have.
He was on the sideline. He was waiting. Like Jesus was waiting. Like
he doesn't have to. He has won so many PLs. He's not here to come. Like that signifies that he's not here to come and rest on his laurels. He wants to take this team forward, and that was. I think this is the first moment when I'm completely sold out on Gabriel Jesus being at Arsenal.
You think about all our previous teams. We were known for our injuries. Like we've had like talismanic players who have gotten injured, but I've never seen anyone come in. Like I was surprised to see Jesus there.
Yeah,
you need that kind of characters. Like Zinchenko, as much as people might say that he was second choice at City or Jesus second choice at City, they carry that mentality.
Yeah,
the experience of having won. They know what it needs to be done to win. And the belief that it's not lost until the last minute. You have to keep fighting.
Yeah.
And that for me, like Saka symbolizes that on the pitch. You never see him like, I have never seen 1 minute where he has given up. In games we've won, in games we've lost, ever since he's come in, and that character has only grown over the last 2-3 years that he's played. So it's amazing that like all these comparisons with like Jadon Sancho, Mason Mount, and all these
that's all
kids,
done. That's all
he's
done.
like
He's
head
on
and shoulders above the
on a
rest. I
different
would say
level.
he's even better than Phil Foden just because of the fact that
he
Foden is playing.
I mean, he is definitely better than Phil Foden. I mean, he is the best player in the World Cup for England. There is no
He's
questions about
probably
it.
the best like player under 25 years of age in England right now.
Yeah,
I cannot think of another person.
Not just in England. I would say like in the world, there is only like Mbappe and certain people who are ahead of him. I wouldn't put anyone else ahead of him in that age bracket, definitely. But getting back to the game, Ellen, like the second goal, Martinelli gets it. It's such a tight squeeze. Like we could say, yeah, the keeper was at bad because he let in a goal at like near post, but he did that very precisely. The keeper had no time to react. I didn't expect him to shoot at all. I thought it's going to come into the middle. Who's going to pick it up? That was my thought. Suddenly the ball was inside the net. But the belief that he has brought in, like Martinelli, like this game, he didn't do a lot. It's not a typical Martinelli game where he takes on a lot of player, runs around, makes the opponent feel bad for themselves. This was a game where he was basically anonymous most of the game. But the moment he gets the ball, I mean, literally, like you said, Arsene comes back, watches the team that he wants the team to perform, how he wants to play. That's like youngsters, like 18-year, 20-year-old kids stepping up and doing this. That's what he would have wanted, and that's what is happening on the pitch.
Exactly. Like if you see, right, like Martinelli, right, during the World Cup, he was not like number one choice for Brazil. He played few games, but if you see, right, everybody was saying about Martinelli or speaking about Martinelli after that game. They were confident that the next World Cup he will be a superstar. See, he was getting prizes, so his confidence level is like huge now, and like now whenever he gets even a minor chance or a chance, like he's going for that because of his confidence as well as the culture in the team. See, Arun was saying about Saka, right? Martinelli is now competing with Saka. Everybody wants to be the person who is the best in the team. There is an healthy competition. So, like, whenever he gets, like, and when these two guys, right, like, even reduce their level little, Odegaard comes in there. Like, it's a very, very healthy competition. And that goal, right, like, see, we all can say, like, as you rightly said, nobody can blame Fabianski. Even it is a very, very, just a little bit moment of him, he could have stopped, but like, there was not even a single % chance for him to save that. And like, that was a amazing goal. And like, the composure and to do that, right? Like something like he has really got. And I'm not sure whether it's right to say like Mikel Arteta should get a lot of credit because there was a period when Martinelli was not playing for a long time, injured, and after the injury also there was fan pressure and everything. But he made sure Martinelli didn't play that time because at that time coming back from injury, he might not have done well. See, another thing, like again, like speaking about Arteta itself, in the Euros when the things were missed, right? Rashford and Saka were the two players who were like criticized. You saw what happened to Rashford after like ETH came and like just now he started performing decent. Until that, right, he was anonymous completely. Whereas Saka, right, fought against it. And there I also feel Mikel Arteta played a huge role. And like if you take Kane's missile now, right, nobody talks about Kane. But Saka had that pressure for a long time. But still, like to come out of that, right? Saka has his own characteristics. Without that, like whatever Arteta does, like will not work. But I feel like Arteta is doing some big thing. As we were also saying, right? When we are 1-0 down, 1-0 down.
I totally understand that. I totally understand that. Sorry to cut you off, Ellen, but like I wanted to bring back to that moment when you were mentioning about Martinelli and Arteta being this thing, right? Even now, when people are talking about like this whole, Tierney not being the first choice, Arteta don't like him and stuff. There was one moment which was shared during the game where Tierney makes a clearance and Arteta comes out of his touchline to, give a high five to Katie, because that brings out two things. First thing is he values that player. He values the contribution the player brings in. And the second thing is it's also like he is doing that for a defensive clearance. He's not He's not appreciating someone just for like, a goal contribution or something. No, a defensive clearance. He feels that about the team. Like, yeah, this is something that's important. Every pass, every clearance is important. That feeling you get it from the manager, right? Like, so yeah. Sorry to cut you off, but I felt that.
Just to add there, like you're saying about Tierney, right? I'm not sure you have noticed it or not. Being a Tierney fan, you should have definitely noticed it. If you
I
see the
probably wouldn't
last,
have.
if you see for the beginning of this season and now, right, Tierney has improved leaps and leaps playing as an inverted fullback.
Yeah.
See, he was struggling at the beginning of the season. Now he's like adapted to that role. There also, right, like see, if Arteta doesn't trust him or if Arteta doesn't value him, he wouldn't have like learned this much. He's his, see, Zinchenko and him as like an equal.
Yeah.
Same way like Tomiyasu and like Ben White and right back, he sees them as like equal. See, depending upon the tactics and other things only, he's not starting. So that is what I'm saying. Like with this team, right, Arteta has brought in a culture. Like, see, even leave the team. The players know what Arteta is speaking day in, day out. So they will be having that confidence and everything. Take the fans or take the viewers who see it from the TV. Like they are not even on the ground. So they don't even feel the atmosphere. But even them, right, they are not having like any worries when we are down 1-0 at halftime. Yep. Players were all rusty. We were down 1-0, but nobody was panicking or anything. We were all confident that like we will like overthrow this in the second half, which happened also. See, that kind of culture has come in, and like what has happened is like the players all have huge confidence, and that confidence is why Martinelli made like ad and like when he took that shot. See, they are ready to fail.
Yeah,
they are ready to fail. That is the thing.
There's no fear of failure. Yeah.
Yes. So that's where my the third goal comes in, and Arun, like I'll come back to you for the third goal. I mean, there has always been questions of Nketiah, and there has been questions of him filling in Jesus' goal. I was listening to Arsenal Vision, and as usual, they make amazing points about things, and I always gets influenced by whatever they speak. But there was a point about like the expectations around Nketiah, and they made an excellent point about going like a lot of fans are expecting or questioning that whether Nketiah could be the Gabriel Jesus. He doesn't have to be a Gabriel Jesus.
Exactly.
He could be the best Nketiah, and that's all we.
And that's what we want. And that's what we want. That's my point as well. Like, why do you want Nketiah to do what Jesus is doing? Why? I don't understand. Like the attributes that Jesus brings into the game are specific to Jesus. You put another striker in there, you put a Haaland in there, he's not going to be able to like drop back to the defense and get the ball. That's not what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to stay at the top and score the goal. And that's what we should be expecting from him. Eddie's strength is, and you put him in front of the goal, 9 out of 10 times he's going to score the goal.
He is the best finisher. Best in that box. He's the best that we have got. Even ahead of Gabriel Jesus or no.
I would agree to that.
Yeah,
I would agree to that definitely, because he's a natural finisher and that's his biggest attribute. When we see him going for shots, that's because he has the confidence that he would be able to hit the goal. Like that's what we need to be expecting from him. You want to replace Jesus? What do you want to replace Jesus? Jesus's attributes of? Like, do you want to replace Jesus' industry? Do you want to replace Jesus' like work rate, or do you want to replace Jesus' goals? Eddie's going to be replacing Jesus' goals, and even might end up like scoring 1 or 2 goals more than him just because of how clinical he is in front of goal. And that's what, for me, that's what I am expecting from him. In these games that we're going to be playing while Jesus is out, we need goals. And I would actually back Eddie to get those goals. You have the rest of the team to be able to do what, like, maybe like the running back and like falling back and getting the ball back. You need the rest of the team to be able to adapt and do that. You need Eddie to be as high up the pitch as possible. That's his strength. Why do you want to make him like just like taking a fish out of water and like putting it on top of a tree and expecting it to fly away to the next destination that it has to go to? Why do you expect that? That's where I have a problem. He's probably the best second striker that we can have in the team, and all he's costing us is what, 5 million per year?
Yeah,
at 100K.
Yeah,
I sometimes don't understand. You talk about standards being high. Yes, standards are high, but that doesn't mean that we should be like expecting players to do things that that's not their strength. That would, in my opinion, if it does end up going that way, we would actually be having it cause more harm to the team as a whole rather than like contributing to anything positive.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. That's what I feel.
Exactly. So, Ellen, on that Nketiah topic, right? Like, I mean, I was on the fence. I mean, I'm not saying this one goal changes it, but this one goal, how he played that one goal, like he touched the defender. He knew where that defender was, and when he went in on to the shooting point, I never had doubt, because that's when I realized I never have doubts of, like, Eddie converting. Eddie always converts. I never had doubt about, like, oh, he's gonna miss it, he's gonna sky it. No, he always knows where to shoot. So that's when I realized, oh, he's very good at that. We just have to put him into that position for him to do that. And
he knows where to be in the final third inside the box,
and he's always there. Like, he's always there. He knows where the goal is. Even those, the scrappy goals that we call Eddie goals, like, the scrappy finishes, he knows how to score. There is no questions of him not scoring.
Exactly. Like, you think about the Chelsea away games, he's like, he presses relentlessly.
Yeah.
His pressing is like, he keeps pressing.
Yeah.
Like, you want a type of player like at the top who is going to be putting pressure on the center backs, because like every team right now is trying to play out of the back.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always a possibility of a mistake, and not every team has mastered the art of playing out of the back. There are center backs, and he's super physical, Eddie. You wouldn't expect the level of physicality from him that you normally see. Like, he's a short guy.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't expect him to be as physical. He puts a lot of pressure on the center backs and the goalkeeper. That makes them make a lot. Even in this game, the same thing happened. He went and like he was pressing Fabianski so much. Fabianski was hoofing balls outside.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why people are not able to appreciate these attributes. It's like we as football fans are just like seeing, oh, he misses a goal. He misses a goal because that's his thing. I said this thing yesterday too. Forget about what you think or I think. The manager was super happy at the end of the game.
Yeah.
He was like praising Eddie to no end. And that's what he wants. Like, that's probably a game plan that the manager wants him to do. And who are we to oppose that? I don't understand. Because us with our limited football knowledge thinking that, like, that's not the right way to go.
Ellen, coming back to you on the Eddie case, right? Like, I mean, I am right now sold out that, like, after seeing him play, and even before that, I was watching the Liverpool game and I was seeing how Nunes was missing it left, right, and center. Which meant, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but every player has that tendency of missing in front of the goal. But the way that shots are being taken, I feel Eddie has a more comfortable striker of the ball, more complete striker, like an old school striker. So I'm right now thinking like, oh, we don't have to dip into the transfer market right now in a panic to buy a striker. We do have a striker. We might need someone to complement, because he might not be able to play 90 minutes every week, every game, everything. We need someone to fill in that spot. But if that is the case, then let's bring in someone much cheaper, like, because he brings in, like, for example, the other strikers we were linked to, Jonathan David, has much lesser output than Eddie. So why are we going to put in like a 60 million
and he's playing in the French league?
Yeah, and you're putting like 50 million, 60 million on a player who is going to bring in less returns than Eddie. Doesn't make sense for me at this point. Is that your take?
It's exactly, because, like, say one thing you were saying about that goal, right? He was facing on the back towards the goal with a defender on back.
Yeah.
Like, how many players in our team can score a goal like that? See, the way he moved and everything, right? It was no natural. Even if you take other teams, right, in Premier League, you will see very, very few strikers who can do that. It was not like, say, it's a different skill set. Like, it's a different thing. Say, where the team is like crowding you, right? Like with the defender, the guy who can do this, right, can bring a lot of openings in the defense. See, he is like a different kind of thing. You don't want like same kind of players to play, so that, like, if you can't break a team, right, you need somebody to give a different viewpoint or a different way of attacking, right? That will not come at all. Eddie fits in there. The second thing, right, people say Eddie misses a lot or he doesn't score continuously. None of the strikers does that. See, exactly. People say, like, even last year, they say, like, there are matches where he scores 2 goals. Yes, he scored 2 goals in that game, and they are important goals. It's like, say, he's not like somebody who's like not scored at all. Like, even if you take his 121, right, he was scoring every match kind of thing, because like he was at a very, very exceptional level at that level. Everybody agreed that, like, he was the best 121 striker for England itself. It is not something like a joke with a number of players under 21 who's playing well. It is not like he's a really good finisher. You take even Aubameyang, like whom we all like praised, he used to miss a lot of sitters.
Yeah.
Like he has like say 7 or 8 sets in a game, and if he scores 1 or 2, right? Like we see at the end of the season, like it is good. Even if you take Eddie's record so far, I think he scores 1 goal every 2 games minimum. And if you take 38 game weeks, right, it is like 19 goals. What else you expect from a striker?
And he has like 11 goals from his 11 starts at home.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. He is having a good record. Like it's like even Jesus doesn't score every game. Like so, I cannot compare. Like understand why there's a comparison. See, we are like supporting Saliba. We were supporting a lot of players, even though they didn't even play a single game for us. If we give the same support to
That's a
Nketiah,
great
right?
point. That's a great
That's
point.
what if we give the same support to Nketiah, right? I don't think like we will have any trouble. Like see, only thing is like we need a backup for a striker if he is getting fatigue or something, because with too many games in the next 2 or 3 months until Jesus is back, that's the only thing we have to worry. We don't want somebody like who has to be a top player, because Nketiah is our top striker.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I
like,
believe it. I believe it
definitely.
right now. I believe it right now, and it might be a recency bias and thing, but I like.
No,
I think
even
I.
last season, right? When
Yeah.
we had like Nketiah to play some 6 or 7 games, like we actually did well than before we had Lacazette and Aubameyang.
Yeah, definitely. So okay, I think we have gone on a longer time than what I intended for us to have about this podcast. But the last thing I want to discuss about is to both of you, right? Like Henry coming in for the post-match presentation. I mean, he has been critical of Arsenal a lot in the past, like in the recent past, especially. To come into the full circle where he is now excited, you can see that he is excited that Arsenal is playing this way. He is no like at some point I was feeling in the past I was feeling he was a little bit cynical that he didn't get a job to be a coach at Arsenal, but now I think he sees that we have a much better coach than what he would have done with Arsenal. And I think that's where he's happy to see this Arsenal team play. He's happy to see Bukayo Saka being Bukayo Saka and everything. So your thoughts on that, both of you, just.
I think I'll start here. I'll just say, like, I love Henry the player. Like, love him to bits.
Yeah.
Like, like for me, he's the greatest player, like above Messi, above, I keep saying this, above Messi, Ronaldo. I don't think anyone before him, it was like the real R9, but like Henry is the best player. Love him as a player, love him as an analyst, totally dislike him as a coach or a critic.
Spoken like a true Montreal person.
It is simple because like I've seen what he's done at Montreal. I was there. The expectations that he has is like when you're too good, you expect the same thing from other people. And you think that since it's easy for me, it should be easy for them as well. Football doesn't work that way. And we've seen what Henry has done as a coach. I've seen it firsthand. It was a terrible season for Montreal. Like, if you have like mediocre players, you should be able to do something with them that plays to their strengths and not to your strengths. There's a huge difference. And we saw that with Arteta too. His lack of patience and his criticism right at the beginning. For me, like, yeah, you are not really seeing the process. You're seeing very short-term stuff. And I think you're right. I think he was cynical and salty because he was probably, if Daniel Ek had taken that bid, like put that bid in and it had been taken by the Kroenkes, he would have become the manager for sure. So in that aspect, like I felt he was salty, But to see him come in and like talk, like you said, talk the way he did, it was like, it made me think he's finally understanding. He's finally understanding what's going on at the club. He's finally understanding how this whole managerial thing works. How like something that needs time has to be given the time. You cannot like just turn it in one day. Like when Emery came in, when we went on that 22 run unbeaten game run, the Emirates was rocking. Like the fans were completely behind. But as soon as that changed, it was all back to negativity again. So changing all this requires time. And when someone who's impatient and having the same high standards and expecting the same thing from players who are not at your level, it was like a definite recipe for disaster. That's what happened with Henry and all his comments continuously. He wasn't convinced until until today, I would say, until yesterday's game. He was definitely not convinced. Now to see him getting convinced is actually, it makes me really happy. Like, okay, dude, you're seeing what's happening there. You're accepting what's happening there. So that's really good. And for him to congratulate Arteta after all that he said, and like to like actually take his glove off to shake his hand, like that's a big thing. People don't generally do that. That and like him praising Saka and all that. It was wonderful to watch. So for me, I would say like this Andre is also beginning to trust the process, or like he's fully invested in the process. And now he realizes he's not the manager that Arsenal needs.
Yeah. Ellen, your thoughts?
Okay, just to give a cricket example here, right? Sachin Tendulkar used to be the best player of the Indian team, but like he was not a good captain.
Yeah.
Same issues he also had. Like he thinks like the bowler can do a lot of things because he or the batsman can do, because like he is capable of doing, but the others are not as skilled as him. Same issue with Andre as a coach too. And that is why, like, see, again, when these people do, right, they have huge expectations also. I will not like go to that level as like Henry was like a bad critic. So whatever critics he is saying, right, might be a combination of like him being like not getting the job, but like he's also bad at that. So that could also be a reason like why he was like doing such things, because he had a conflict there also, right? Like with Sky Sports and like Arsenal, the assistant coach, like as a conflict, and then like he took like he will become like a Sky Sports person. Then right, like he has to speak in such a way, because at that time every media, right, they want to speak bad about Arsenal because that is what will sell.
Yeah.
So that could also be a reason. But internally, right, he's still an Arsenal loving person.
Yeah.
So
when
definitely. You see Arsenal doing well, when you see Arsenal doing well, right, that will automatically come out of that. But what was the interesting thing for me, right? Like even though he was that kind of an arch critic, everything happened. Arteta was not having anything with him. He was like mingling with him like as nothing has happened. Such kind of maturity in a coach, right, like or a person, right, is very difficult to get. And we are again. See, I'm one of an arch Arteta critic like last year, because many things he was doing was not making sense. But when I see such kinds of things, right, I see like there is a much more maturity thing with Arteta, which is like making the team to do like this, or like we can see even more better things from this team if he is a coach.
Yeah.
Because that was like, see, whatever Henry said, like, see, when team's doing well, everybody can come and support the team. But Arteta, right, who was the recipient of all the critics or this thing, or the Edu for that matter, them like coming and talking with Henry as nothing has happened, right? That was the striking thing for me out of that interview.
Awesome. Anyways, that's all our take on this, long episode, and about because we are excited about Arsenal as always. So everyone, thank you so much for joining in, and for everyone who's listening, to like, share, subscribe, and obviously, comment in your thoughts on everything we have discussed. Hopefully, we have discussed most of it. And if we have missed something, please reach out to us in our social media platforms as usual. Thanks, Arun. Thanks, Ellen, for joining in. Talk to you guys
Thanks
later.
a lot.
Thanks a lot.